Time for the 49ers Rush Podcast.
We have finally made it to the top 5 of the 49ers roster countdown. And George Kittle, oh my gosh. What else could you say about this man? Whether personality, leadership, captain, you talk about the on-the-field play, receiving, immaculate catches, amazing blocks, plus off the field, everything that he does for the community. Probably one of the most, easily to get a hold of, all the birthday wishes, all the autograph sessions, he just does it all. And probably, if I had to say, fits the character or the entire 49ers locker room and team, kind of follows his lead. I'd throw Trent Williams into that one as well, but if you're looking for outgoing personality and things like that, he showed up the guy. Fred Warner has developed into that. George Kittle's George Kittle. That dude's WWE, all those things. We're going to be covering a lot of that. So we're going to be going through his background, which is a lot of fun. We're going to be going through stats, which is a blast as well. We're going to finish up with some projections. But, man, I just finished. I've been working all morning on putting together some highlight tape. So, and it's long. There's a lot that I wanted to put up there. And if you want to catch this whole thing, the entire video is available on Patreon with, commentary notes, all that kind of different stuff. Patreon.com/49ers Rush Podcast, or just Google 49ers and Patreon if you want that. I've loaded a Fred Warner highlight clip, George Kittle highlight clips, and, we're still working on our Football 101 series as well. So go check that out if you haven't. Now, George Kittle, number 85. We have had several great tight ends in the 49ers past, and I don't even want to name them all because if I do, I'm going to leave somebody out. There's so many. It's incredible. Vernon Davis wore the 8.5 as well, which is fun. He's 6'4", 250. Dude is a behemoth of a man. He's 28 years old. He's entering into his 6th season, and he's well traveled. I will say this, his dad's a coach, football coach as well, so, and that's just part of being a coach, and the life of that is you move around a lot. He went to high school at Norman, Oklahoma for the Tigers because his dad was coaching at Oklahoma, and so then eventually went back home up north. We'll detail those things, but he was born in Madison, Wisconsin, and moved to Iowa at a young age, attended Iowa City West High School, and then kind of bounced around there, then went down to Oklahoma, committed to the University of Iowa to play college ball. His dad, Bruce Kittle, who's been such a major impact in George Kittle's personality, playing style, all those things, also played football at Iowa, and a former college football coach. He's coaching high school football now, actually with Trent Dilfer, out in Nashville, which is where George Kittle spends most of his time. Now, if we look at his high school career, which again, he played in multiple states, earned all-state, all-district, all-conference honors as a senior, earned 2 varsity letters while playing tight end, wide receiver, linebacker, and defensive back. He played all over the place. There's no doubt about it. Helped his prep team reach the state playoffs as a junior and senior, team captain as a senior, averaged 11.6 yards per reception as a senior, 5 touchdowns. Also had 5 interceptions on defense. Can you imagine? George Kittle kind of has that defensive mentality with the contact and physicality. I don't want to see him opposite if I was playing on offense personally. Also, earned 2 letters as a basketball power forward. He's got the height for it for sure. Now, he was a communications major, member of the Dean's List, and all those different things. And, another significant thing about his dad, Bruce, he played for Iowa for back in the 70s and 80s, was co-captain of the 1982 Rose Bowl team, which is really, really cool. So it's in the blood, man. I love it. Now, he goes to Iowa, and academic Big Ten, every single year he was there, which Big Ten academic is pretty impressive. There's a lot of very top-tier quality academic schools there. Incredible thing. And again, we've said that almost with every single player that's on this roster. Redshirted in 2012, saw action in 2013 in 12 games, had 5 catches, 108 yards. And even though he wasn't playing much, he received the Team Leader Award and Special Teams Player early on. 2014, Academic All-Big Ten. Saw action in 12 games, only had one catch for 24 yards, and then 2015, he blew up. Academic All-Big Ten, honorable mention All-American, saw action in 14 games, 6 starts, led the team with 6 touchdowns, 20 receptions, 290 yards, which you go back to his tape, and a big reason why George Kittle fell so far in the draft, they didn't throw the ball. They just ran the ball. He was a glorified offensive tackle, which has done really, really well for what he's brought to the NFL, but nobody knew the receiving prowess that he would bring. You just had no idea. You couldn't project that. Then his senior year, 2016, guess what? Academic All-Big Ten for the 4th consecutive year. He won the Team Hustle Award. Yeah, we've seen that big time. Honorable mention All-Big Ten by coaches and media. And, he was on the watch list for the John Mackey Award, Rotary Lombardi Award. I mean, just go on and on and on and on. Started all 11 games. He did miss 2 games because of injury. Recorded 22 receptions, 314 yards, and 4 touchdowns, and was one of 9 seniors named to the 2016 leadership group. Anywhere he goes, it's just he's a leader, just natural born leader. His personality, his charisma, his empathy, because you combine that hate and the anger that he plays with this just lovable teddy bear off the field. It's a very rare makeup and build, but it just permeates the entire locker room with the attitude and everything that he brings to the program. Now, a couple other just golden nuggets before we jump into his draft and pro career. 2019 was the recipient of the 49ers Lynn Eschmont Award. That gives the award to the player that best exemplifies inspirational and courageous play. Also, the 2018 Bill Walsh Award, just commitment to excellence in everything, got that as well. You want to look at just a couple other things that I thought were interesting. His dad, Bruce, still writes George a letter before every single game. And Kittle reads it on the bus on the way to the stadium game day. He has not shared, what those letters are, but just said that's between him and his dad. But it's a big deal that, the passion that he gets. Kittle's cousin, Henry Krieger Cobble, signed with the Denver Broncos as an undrafted free agent tight end in 2016. They were both teammates in Iowa, which I thought was interesting as well. Now, let's go to just kind of what his combine was, because it's a freak show he put on and shocked a lot of people. Ran a 4.52 40-yard dash. That's top 94% of tight ends. 4.5 at his size is pretty remarkable. Had a 7 flat 3-cone. That's a great number. 35-inch vertical. 132 broad jump. That's top 98%. That's explosive power in the legs. Now, if you're just looking at tight ends and you're trying to find a comparable players just at tight ends, Dallas Clark, Jonnu Smith were the closest, but I found much higher degree percentage thing if I went outside the tight end position. So I started playing around, got a little creative. Derrick Henry, 84.7% athletic profile match. Just looking at height, weight, speed, arm length, 40-yard dash, explosive, whatever. Derrick Henry. And Cam Newton, 83.5. That's the size, compact power that George Kittle has. When you compare him to tight ends, you get one story, but if you back up and look at all the players in the NFL, Derrick Henry and Cam Newton are your comparables. People forget how big Kittle is. This dude's 6'5". He's huge. He's a big dude. He's got a lot of records, since he showed up in the NFL. There's no doubt about that. Most receiving yards and a half by a tight end ever, with 210. First tight end to lead the league in yards after the catch, 870 yards after the catch. Most receiving yards in the first 3 seasons ever by a tight end, 2,945. First tight end to achieve at least 150 receiving yards and 1 touchdown in back-to-back consecutive games. 49ers franchise records. Most receiving yards in a game by a tight end, 210. Most receptions in a season by a tight end, 88. First tight end to surpass 1,000 receiving yards. He did that faster than any other player in 49ers tight end history. Now, he was drafted pick number, this is crazy to me, still crazy to me, 146. He went the 6th round. How the heck does he fall that far? And the crazy thing about it is he comes in 2017. They named him starter over Garrett Selleck, Vance McDonald, Logan Paulson, Blake Bell, Cole Hicatini. He won the starting job in training camp as a 6th-round rookie. Dude just stepped in and took over. Made his NFL debut against the Carolina Panthers and caught 5 passes, 27 yards. We lost that one. Speaking of Cam Newton, he was quarterback of that game. Caught his first NFL reception, 13-yard pass from Brian Hoyer. Man, how far things have come. There's no doubt about it. But he finished the regular season with his first 100-yard receiving game, Week 17 against the Rams, and had 43 receptions, 515 yards, 2 touchdowns in 15 games his rookie year. 2018 comes out. Yeah, it was just whatever. I mean, dude just went nuts. Broke in his first full kind of year, once he got his, everything kind of solidified, he broke Travis Kelce's single season receiving record as a tight end on a 43-yard touchdown. I think this might be the play right now that's played. I was there at this game. It was incredible. Yeah, sure enough. Look at the timing. That play right there broke the record with 1,377 receiving yards. The record was broken again by Kelce the following year, but still very historic. 2019 comes out. He started so hot. It's incredible. During the very first 4 games, Kittle earned the highest overall Pro Football Focus grade of any player in the NFL, and he kind of maintained that. Just continued just being incredible. And, you look at it, he second Pro Bowl, had over 300,000 votes, goes to the Super Bowl, had 4 catches, 36 yards, and, that one gigantic pass interference penalty right before the half that really bothered me. But I digress. 2020 season, signs a new 5-year, $75 million contract. I mean, just absolutely. He's signed through the 2025 season. He's going to be around for a while. There's no doubt about it. Did miss some time. There's no doubt about it. But finished 48 catches, 634 receiving yards, 2 touchdowns in only 8 games. And that leads us to last year. Had a good season. There's no doubt about it. Had some super hot streak games where he just dominated. But they kind of tailed off, and he had to be used for more blocking purposes and everything else, as that goes on. And you kind of look at what he accomplished through the playoffs. I think some people forget just how important blocking is. And whenever you have George Kittle, who's such a prolific pass catcher, whenever they started loading the box against Jimmy because he couldn't throw it deep, it changed the way that you had to use Kittle. And so I get why some people are like, oh, Kittle disappeared. He didn't disappear. He did not disappear at all. It's still one of the best blockers in the entire NFL, not just tight end blockers, just great blocker. And, he gave them the opportunity to continue to progress through the playoffs. But yeah, he didn't get the, huge numbers and all those different things and whatever, but it's more than that. He's got 59 career starts, 3-time Pro Bowler, 1 year All-Pro first team. He had 2018, 1 year second team All-Pro. But, I mean, the dude has just balled out. If you look at what he's done collectively, not just as a tight end, 49ers all-time receiving yards, he has 4,489. That's 10th most all-time for the 49ers. Not just tight ends, 10th most all-time. He is after he gets 700 more receiving yards, he's going to pass Freddie Solomon, the great Freddie Solomon, who played 114 games for the 49ers, and Brent Jones, who played 143 games. Keep in mind, Kittle's only played 67, and he's about to pass those. If he just stays on pace this year, he's going to jump up. And if he plays out the length of his contract, he could finish 3rd all-time in 49ers history receiving yards, passing the great Dwight Clark. who had 6,800 receiving yards. So I think that's probably the height that he could get if he stays healthy. Terrell Owens is second, obviously, with 8,500 yards. And then Jerry Rice, again, T.O. second with 8,500 yards. Jerry Rice first, 19,247 career yards with the 49ers. Yeah, that's a lot. Now, if we look at the NFL, and if you just look at receiving yards from 2018 to today, Kittle's 14th in the NFL. Not just tight ends, 14th in the NFL. That's Devontae Adams, Julio Jones, all those guys. And he's just missed way too many games, right? So, like, out of the top 14 players, he's only played 52 games. That's it. Out of 65 total games. He's missed 13 games during that span, which was second worst out of any of the top 14. Julio Jones missed the most time. He only played in 50 games. So it's interesting to look. You know, the biggest criticism of Kittle, staying healthy, the way he plays. He mauls, he bulldozes, he runs through. He's incredible. But the injuries do come up, and he misses time. There's no doubt about it. Can you get that consistency and keep that level of play without the injuries? Well, if that happens, you're talking about record-breaking years. You really, really are. Now, I think the days of his 1,000-plus receiving yard, whatever, that shouldn't be a goal anymore. You remember, that was before Debo. That was before Ayuk. That was before, you don't need to do that anymore. Now you have a top-5 defense. You have a mobile quarterback that can run. You have a nice, stable running back group, and you can churn longer drives. Kittle doesn't have to be the number one receiving threat. Now, he's incredible, and whatever you do throw his way is going to be great. He shouldn't be the first or second passing option. He really shouldn't, because, again, what he brings in the blocking game is so damn important. I don't want him blocking on pass downs very often, but I think the 49ers are going to continue to run the ball more and pass the ball less. I think that's just what it is. So my projections for the 2022 season for George Kittle, I've got him 75 receptions, 950 yards, 7 touchdowns. Couple things about that. That would be the most touchdowns in his career. He's never had more than 6 in a season. And last year, he finished 4th in the NFL for receiving yards for tight ends with 910. So it's more receiving yards. It's more touchdowns. But I don't have him just blowing up because, again, I don't think he needs to. I mean, obviously, that's an incredible season for a wide receiver. That'd be a great season. But I want to keep him as kind of that third option in the passing game, the third option. Plus, I also see Juwan Jennings taking a huge uptick. I see Danny Gray taking, some of those deep balls that we usually see go to Kittle. I could see some of that go by, and Ray McCloud. So there's a better supporting cast to where you don't have to load everything on top of George Kittle. But make no mistake, his impact and his importance to this team, he landed top 5 for us. And if you wanted to put him higher, I could not disagree with you. Want to say thank you to our executive producers of this series. Man, they've done such a great job. Anthony and Josh, thank you so much for all you do. We got 4 more to go on this 49ers roster countdown.